Hi guys, welcome to episode number 2 of My Normal Podcast. Today's episode is with Stella Perry. You might remember Stella as one of the contestants on The Voice Australia. She actually came second, but in my eyes, she is number 1. We tackle some pretty heavy topics today, everything from Stella's time in the Middle Eastern hotel industry as a performer to all the way up to her journey being a contestant on both Australian Idol, X Factor, and then her recent success on The Voice. For any listeners that may find some of the topics we cover today distressing, I highly recommend organisations such as Support Act or Beyond Blue. There are great organisations and available for your call at any time. I want to thank everyone for their support and feedback on episode number 1. I'm still making my way through the internet limitations and technical difficulties that it is to do a remote podcast over the internet. You will notice in today's episode there are some times where it sounds like I'm talking over Stella, but it's actually just the file that was sent to me from the website was just corrupted, and we weren't able to go with plan A. So, but fortunately enough, the chat I had with Stella definitely wasn't a chat we would be able to recreate. So just decided to go with it. Hopefully you don't hear what I'm hearing, and you can enjoy the episode. If everyone could please like and subscribe to all the social media outlets such as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and Spotify. It's really important to me that we can grow this platform both for the guests but also the organisations that we mention, and giving them as much of the spotlight as we possibly can. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. It is a long one, but it is a great one. Thanks for listening. Alrighty, Amanda Perry, thank you for joining me today. How are you?
I'm good. It's weird to be called Amanda Perry.
Yeah, so run me through that.
I think I was just needing to rebrand and let go of a lot of the attachments that I had, or the ideas that I had surrounding Amanda Perry being unsuccessful, trying so many things under that name. And even before that name, like Perry's my married name, but before that being Amanda Grafenakis. And I never liked the name Amanda for a singer or an entertainer or someone that was in the limelight anyway. So I was one of those singers constantly trying to find what felt right. I remember I used the name Seven for a quick second.
Yeah.
I used Amanda Munro for a hot minute. Like just tried.
Seven.
Hey?
What was the inspiration behind Seven?
Seven's my favourite number. I was born on the 17th and both of my sisters were born on the 7th. One was June, one's December. So it's very just in our family to sevens are everywhere. So I just thought, that'd be cool. That's
one better than the devil.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. But now I've gone the other side. I've got a Gmail account with 666 in it.
Oh, how we change.
I know. Oh, how we evolve. I don't know if it's evolve.
So it's Stella. It's Stella Perry. That's the stage name. That's the persona.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, 100%. I feel good about it. And just quickly, the story behind that, so people don't get it too twisted, was I'd been looking for something that was really similar to my personality in regards to like I love anything that's like celestial or of the stars, or I love reading tarots and I love star signs, and I like to think about the world not just as planet Earth, but like there's a whole universe out there. So it makes me feel like when my problems are big, that nothing's ever that huge, because there's just so much more than me. Like I get trapped in my own brain and I can be really self-centered sometimes. And so I was trying to look for a name, and I was looking outward, and I was asking friends, like, what do you think suits me? What do I look like? Like, what can you imagine me being? And then it dawned on me. It was like one of those moments that I had called my business, cleaning business, Stella Services and Solutions, after my best friend's baby that had passed away at 10 days old. Her name was Stella Aiden. And my best friend Alex in Tassie had her business called Stella Aiden Beauty. And it was just one of those moments that I was like, why would I be searching everywhere for this name? And it was like right under my nose the whole time to just call myself Stella. So I called Alex and I was like, what do you think of this? And she was like, I think it's perfect. And so I said, I'll pop an R on the end of it. So then it is literally a star situation. And I just thought I'll keep my married name Perry for now. Even though we're separated, I just thought Stella Perry sounds cool. And it feels like it was already a part of me that I just didn't know before. Because I don't have a middle name because I'm Greek Orthodox, although I was christened Sophia. So part of me was like, should I go with my Greek Orthodox name? But anyway, it happened that way. And I'm so glad it did, because I really feel when I'm on stage or when I'm singing or when I'm doing any aspect to do with the design of my business as a singer or a brand, Stella just makes so much sense. And I feel like such a Stella in so many ways. So it's cool. It feels like it makes sense. I'm really like happy to move forward with that. But if you called me Manda, or any of my friends and family call me Manda, obviously I've been called that my whole life, and that in a personal way. Yeah.
Can I just be a small stickler for detail? That earring is like tapping on the microphone.
Let's get rid of it. It doesn't go with my other one anyway, so which I like them to not go.
Yeah. Hopefully you don't just constantly lean to one side now. Fuck, you unpacked that so well just then.
Good.
That was great. So for the listeners, Stella and I have crossed paths before. I was the production manager for what do you call it? You would call it a nightclub. I would call it a gay bar in St Kilda, the GH Hotel. Rest in peace. And Stella was it the Friday or the Saturday night?
I feel like it was every Friday, or was it Saturday? Actually, I can't remember. I feel like
let's just refer to it as the best night.
Yeah.
And you were you had a duo.
Yeah.
And you were the singer in the front bar there, and probably some of the OG original actual singing talent that came through the walls of that place. How was your time at the GH?
I loved it. I love being affiliated or, kind of involved at all in the gay community, even though I don't class myself as queer, but I don't rule it out. But I feel very at home around people that are that open-minded and that expressive with their art. And I'm inspired by, I guess, their courage and their authenticity and how much they are 100% themselves all the time, whether they're in drag or not. I was doing also drag night Monday night. It was called Hello Gorgeous at Rabada, or Hey Gorgeous, and Millie Minogue was hosting it. And so I would sing before those guys would get on, and then me and Millie would sort of co-host, and then moving to the GH where you guys had that whole drag thing happening in the next room. So I was the front bar that you'd walk into, and it was me and James singing ballads and, basically being like letting our inner gay guy come out, which, I mean, I don't know about him, but I feel like he channels gay very well, but he's not gay. And I'm a gay guy trapped in a woman's body. So we had so much fun, and then we'd get pissed during that show and then move on over to where the real action was, with all the glitz and the glamour, and just have the time of our lives. Unless I had a gig the next day, then I'd have to go straight home, put myself to bed, because I'm not good with hangovers. So it really depended on my life. But I loved it. I miss it. I miss April from there. And what was her girlfriend's name? Kira?
Sure.
Yeah, she was bar manager. Everyone there was so nice. You know what I mean? Like I felt like I was surrounded by professional people, and it was good sound quality. Like the PA was always pretty good, and it was fun. I loved it. How was your time?
I've got mixed emotions about the place, but mostly good. Only because like I was involved in like sort of the back end of things towards the end of the place.
Well, there would be way more drama behind the scenes. Like we just got to breeze in, breeze out, and get paid for it. Whereas you had to deal with, if something broke down, it was your fault. If something wasn't working, your fault.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I took a lot of pride in my work, and I still do. But it was a tough place, I guess, for me, like just like mentally and emotionally. When you take so much pride in your work, and you're considering yourself to be, knocking things out of the park quite a lot, and you're quite proud of your work, but you really go quite unrecognized for so long. That sort of aspect of things was pretty difficult to deal with, and a lot of my time in the I guess like the gay, like after the GH, I sort of picked up work with in the dark events, production managing all the RuPaul Drag Race shows that when they came to town.
That is so amazing.
That was huge. Like that was a massive, incredible opportunity to I guess put a stage together for all those queens, but also like travel. Like we went to New Zealand and we would be doing up to 15 dates all in a row. But again, like I was doing incredible things that I was super proud of, and we'd do 15 shows and we'd have like a wrap party in Perth or something. The Queen wouldn't even know my name, and they wouldn't even they'd be like, have you been at all the shows? And be like, oh man, if you saw what this stage looked at before I put all the smoke and mirrors. But
you'd be singing my praises. But that I think really reflects the people, the artists that you're working with, as opposed to your level of talent and your caliber. Because when you meet some of the biggest names I've ever met are the ones like Delta's a good example of how much her professionalism really is well reflected in how she knows literally every single name on the voice floor. And there are so many people like sound guys, obviously, and cameramen. And I think it's more about the level of professionalism and the level of appreciation you have as an artist, knowing that what you're doing, like, you're putting on your makeup and you're getting your costume designed. And there's a lot of like hard work as an artist or a singer and to the rehearsals and everything. But part of the hard work as a singer is to go out of your way and know who's putting this show on for me, how good a job are they doing, what's the sound quality like, introduce yourself and like liaise with them on a really personal way. And that really pisses me off and breaks my heart for you, because back to the GH days real quick, I thought James and I used to say all the time, like, this guy's, if we ever made it, or like, well, if we were ever on tour, you would be the first person either of us would call. Like, we just used to comment all the time on how you were just like the audio genius, like a god. Oh, it's the truth. You really notice it as a singer when you go from gig to gig and venue to venue, who's good and who's shit, who's easy to talk to, who can help you sound better, and who has no idea what you're talking about. And you just would come in and do some weird magic, twist some things, and I'd be like, oh, yay, I feel like I'm so much better than I am.
I'll have to get you to testify on LinkedIn for me.
100%. Done.
I don't know if I just dramatise that fact so much, but my main memories of my time there definitely wasn't doom and gloom. I enjoyed myself, and I was there, with like 100% through all the times. And fuck, what was I going to say? I absolutely cooked that. So when I say, I definitely think that I felt like I was a visitor to the inner confines of what happened inside that place. Nothing took me off guard. There was, a couple run-ins with like some old queens that really didn't fuss me at the time, but when I look back at it, I go like, oh man, that was like pretty fucked. Like, yes, I'm clearly the straight rock and roll guy, but you just don't talk to anyone like that. And a lot of like sort of old sour people that probably have had a pretty tough life with people who look or are me, and probably aren't as accepting as I am. But when I look back to, some of my most like memorable performances that I've been involved with, like I've done some amazing things and things that I've done and worked a lot on. But one of my most memorable performances that I've been involved in was the performance or the fundraiser we did for it was the MH17, whatever the name of the flight was that crashed.
Oh.
So that flight contained a lot of the passengers were actually on the way to an AIDS convention. So a lot of the people who went missing on that flight were actually like a lot of iconic people in terms of like AIDS research. So that was a rippling effect that like sort of went out through the gay community. But the fundraiser that we did that night was basically all queens, like big and small, upcoming and successful, came and just donated their time. But it was probably one of the first times that I really recognized like the emotional connection to drag. Whereas previously I was just going like this like a straight guy walking into a nightclub going, this is an amazing venue. And then having someone like amazing PA with like absolute beautiful specs and like any band would be so lucky to join that stage. And then you've got someone coming up, chucking on a beautiful dress and miming to a song, just like just cut to my core. But that was the sort of the first time where I really recognized that it was like truly a form of expression. And Karen from finance, she did a number.
That's such a good name.
Yeah. She did True Colors by
Cyndi Lauper.
Cyndi Lauper. And
love that song.
Oh man, like I was.
Did you cry like a little baby? Admit it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you were howling.
And even filming it and like even just like thinking back to it, it's like quite an emotional time. And then number two, was reopening the ESPY and doing the Welcome to Country.
Oh yeah.
My knowledge, my upbringing around like Indigenous sort of involvement with Australia is very minimal. However, I respect it immensely. But it was another one where it just like caught me completely off guard. We were busily putting the venue together and making it all sound good, and then all that sort of stuff and operational stuff on a first day of opening a brand new venue, especially to the size of what that had changed into. And then just having that reflection and getting a Welcome to Country and the smoking ceremony. Oh man.
Wow.
That thing knocked me out of the park too.
That's so gorgeous.
Yeah. So yeah, in saying that, you know, I felt like I was a visitor to it, but it definitely impacted me on a permanent like way of like appreciating that sort of stuff. And there's a lot of relationships that I gained out of working in the gay community that will last a very long time.
That's cool.
Yeah, like I'm getting married at the end of the year, and well, hopefully that's the plan.
Congratulations! Yeah,
thanks, COVID. And yeah, there will be a special performance that I hope that no one coming will listen to this, but we're trying to keep it a surprise. But yeah, like it follows me everywhere.
So you're not going to reveal it just in case someone does listen. Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was smart. I was going to stop you.
I hope someone listens, but I also hope the people coming to the wedding will not listen.
Oh my God, that's so exciting for you. Whatever it is, I'm pumped.
Yeah, should be good. So you started in Tasmania. That's where you grew up?
Yeah.
When did you make the move to the mainland? Or how was your time in Tasmania?
Tassie was great. I loved being born and raised there. I had a really sort of good family life, very standard.
What town?
Hobart, Slowbart. Love it. I need to get a Tassie tattoo because I just feel like I just love having a piece of home with me. I've got a little Tasmanian tiger necklace that I wear sometimes, but I do feel a strong calling to go back there eventually and maybe settle down when I'm a bit older. But I fucking hate the cold, and it's freezing all the time. Like, I don't care what anyone says. A good summer day is like 23, 24. It's just like on a standard kind of day. Like, yeah, you get your hot sort of mid 30s or like, you know, your freaky heat waves, but I just fucking can't stand the cold. And the music industry for me there, I did have an original band when I was 16 or 17 and was writing originals and doing covers at 17. And so I was booking gigs and I was sort of living off gigs from the age of 17. I was doing 3 or 4 a week as well as finishing college. So I was pretty exhausted around that time, and I'd entered into my first real relationship. So I'd moved out at 17 and became like a housewife girlfriend thing. Did that for like 3.5 years while gigging and whatever else. And then I'd have sometimes day jobs for a while on and off. And then I'd done a contract overseas in the Middle East with a few dudes from Tassie, and we did like a 3-month contract to start with in Abu Dhabi. and I was working 6 nights a week in a hotel there. And it was kind of upon my arrival back to Tassie after that, I was like, okay, I've done a stint overseas. That was like probably, if you're ever going to get a culture shock from anywhere, it's probably the Middle East, or I imagine
So you were
Korea.
20?
20, I reckon I was about 22 around that time, and got back to Tassie and then...
Abu Dhabi.
Hey?
What's it like for a 20-year-old woman in Abu Dhabi?
Confronting. I think it opened my eyes. Like I'd had some run-ins with guys my whole life, you know, being propositioned in an awkward or like a not welcomed way. So I'd had some experience sort of being put into corners, so to speak, being really uncomfortable and having some really awful experiences with men. But in the Middle East, it was a whole new thing that I'd never experienced, which was being the idea that you could be bought. I couldn't get my head around it. Like,
wow.
I remember a guy walking up to me and saying, $1 million US, just come to my house and dance for me and sing for me. You can wear clothes, but it has to be just for me. Like it's a private showing. And I just thought, you can't put a price on my safety. Like, I know it almost seems stupid and probably unbelievable to anyone listening. And I don't know if it was for real. Conversation was real, and my reaction and my feeling to it was very real, and it freaked me out. Like, I just didn't want to. I didn't know if I'd come out of there alive. Like, I don't know. I don't mean to offend anyone.
I'm assuming you still continued going into the singing path and performing professionally. Did you find it hard to break into such a large city that's renowned for its creativity? Was it hard to break into?
So it wasn't long before I was living in Melbourne, and I was like, I'm going to go on Australian Idol, and I made top 13 of that, and I made heaps of connections, and people reached out and were like, hey, I'm doing corporate work, would you like to come and sing? And you know, corporate stuff you get paid well, and also it's such a cliquey thing that once you sing with one guitarist or pianist, then they get you a gig somewhere else. So it's like, it's really easy to kind of, once you're in that circle. And then I went on a couple of, I wasn't happy with top 13. I was like, I need to kind of break in a bit more, and I need to meet more people, because what I ultimately always wanted to do through these TV shows was meet really good songwriters or really good producers, people that would want to work with me behind the scenes creatively, to either write songs for other artists or for myself and build myself up into something. It was never like just be famous for a quick second and like put an extra zero on what I'm charging at a gig. It wasn't ever really about that for me. I just felt like I needed to meet my kind of people, and that maybe through those avenues it would open up more doors, which it did to a certain extent. So X Factor was after that. And that was, so really like Idol and X Factor were like a year or two in to me living in Melbourne. So it's like I got my head around Melbourne, got a day job. I was working at Dangerfield and managing a shop on Greville Street, and made a couple of good friends. So I felt like I'd started to, I think I've got a theory that it takes a good 12 months when you move somewhere to a different city. For me anyway, from experience, it takes a good year to feel like you've got friends that almost feel like family, that you don't feel bad asking them to come and help you with something or like move something heavy. Like, you know, it's hard, like it takes a while to kind of make those connections and find your people, because my very first job in Melbourne was at Diesel, the clothing label, and they weren't my kind of people. Like, they were all just a pack of cunts, you know, they treated me like shit, and it was just not my vibe. And so it was really good. Like, Dangerfield was my vibe. Those people were really nice. I loved it. And then I started to get gigs at, you know, places like, you know, Rabada or Greyhound or, I had a few good gigs going. I remember singing down at PJ's at South Bank, and there was a really good sound guy then, Matt, that I got along really well with. I'd spend my breaks just hanging out with the sound guy and the band, but yeah, just hanging out with people that I loved their company. It was, I don't know, I felt like I was pretty lucky, I guess, because I got on those shows and I got a name for myself relatively quickly and got introduced to some people that I liked. Obviously, there's people in the way that...
what season of Oz Idol was your first attempt?
So I don't know what year that was. I want to say 2000 Oz Idol, the only one who I'd met was Gareth, the guy that ended up playing the genie in Aladdin. Him and I, he didn't make it to maybe we both had made it to top 20, but he got eliminated just before me. So I remember we'd met each other through that. But in regards to the top 12, no, I can't remember really anyone that we definitely haven't kept in contact. X Factor was more so because I got to top 9 on that. The more time you spend on those shows, the deeper connections and the better the friendship you have. So I made a few mates off that, baby. But also ended up fading into the distance. But,
what song did you audition with on Oz Idol?
100%. Oh, God, fuck, you're testing my memory. I think it was... I don't know. I don't remember my actual audition song, but I do remember singing What's Love Got to Do with It at some point in time, Tina Turner. And then on the actual TV show, I remember, and I only know this because it's on YouTube, singing Who Knew by Pink and Simply the Best, again, by Tina Turner.
What's the selection process
Tina Turner.
in choosing those songs?
You want to have something that replicates or that resonates, I think, with your voice in a really natural way. So I naturally have a low, gravelly, raspy kind of ballsy voice.
Yep.
So I tend to look for singers that also have those qualities. So when I sing their songs, it makes sense to people. But I don't have to mimic their sound or anything to make it easy for the listener. It's just my version of their song. I don't mind doing juxtapositions, singing something quite angelic with my voice. I think that kind of thing's cool as well. But I've just always gravitated towards songs that make me feel like I wish I'd written the song because I feel it to my core. You know what I mean? Like when you sing it, you just feel like you're almost choking up, not because you're a good singer, but because of the lyrical content is so it hits really close to home, or, even if you've never been through that, you can imagine going through it. It's all about, literally all of my decisions are based on emotion.
Have you
heart rules overhead every single time. I'm not really overly logical person.
Other than what you've just released
or strategic
recently?
Yeah, so I started writing when I was a kid. I always gravitated towards lyrics in particular. I just used to write in a diary and just and sing the melody. And so it was hard back when I was a kid because I didn't have a recorder, a tape recorder for ages. So I'd have to find ways to remind me of the melody. You know what I mean? When you're 8 years old, I'd just draw dots over the words. So I'd kind of think, oh, it must have started there, and I'd sing da 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 da, and I just kind of, I guess, in a way, I was
your own language.
Almost teaching myself theory before I knew what theory was of music. Just with drawings and squiggles and stuff to represent the run that I was doing, which I think every singer does that. But I did struggle with finding, I guess, sounds that I liked. So as much as it's really easy for me to sit down and write a song that's very feelingsy and ballad-y, I often cringe when I listen back to those kind of songs that I write. It's I don't really love my style of writing in that regard. But if I'm given a pop track or a producer reaches out and says, I've got this kind of bed of music, sing over this, I think there's some form of emotional attachment I feel to it that it could be for someone else, so I cringe less. Or I don't know what it is. I find songwriting such an interesting thing. But I've written songs on and off since I was literally 8, so it would be going on 30 years. I've been attempting to write songs.
The fact that, I'm a drummer. I can play guitar, I can play a little bit of keys and that sort of stuff. But I mean, the songs I've ever only finished have been on a group effort. And even during COVID, I've tried to really dive into to songwriting and that sort of stuff. I just get stuck. I create a loop and I don't know where to take it. It's that musical. I don't know if it's the musical knowledge or my musical theory and that sort of stuff. But if I chuck on Spotify and play some drums, oh man, I'm a drummer.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's so much harder than it looks, and it's only recently I've been really finishing songs that I'm starting and believing in myself as a songwriter and realizing that I have some good ideas. And I think it's once you start giving yourself, I guess that self-belief and that permission, it's really easy to shit on yourself mid-song and be like, this sucks, everything sucks, I'm the worst, and like you don't finish it. It's such a mental game. Like you need to be able to just let the song be what it is and give it, and if it is a bit poppy trash or it's a bit naff or it's a bit too on the nose or, you know, like, because there's so many different styles of even lyrical content. Like I like storytelling songwriting, but I wish that I was someone that was really elusive and, you know, someone that could write songs that you just kind of scratch your head and think, what the hell did that mean, or how did they come up with that line? But I'm such an obvious person in my personality. Of course that's going to translate in my songwriting. Like it's what I'm writing about is generally quite obvious. But I just wish I wasn't that sometimes.
Vision of yourself as a performer? Have you sort of always been a solo performer? Like do you...
Yeah, I'd say so. I love being in bands, but I think so.
What's the word? Collaboration.
Yeah, I do. I love collaborations, which is why I really wanted to find, and I have found my equal in a songwriting partner capacity who I've written those songs with on Spotify. It's one of those things that I can literally sing an idea into my phone and send it to Zach and go, I think this is a good chorus or a verse, and he'll be like, yeah, okay, what are you hearing on the bed? You know what I mean? Like what sounds? And so I'll send him a whole bunch of references of like the keyboard sound in this Stranger Things song, or like I really love the 80s drum sound here, like this synth pad and all these kind of sounds that I'm just like, I just kind of try to talk his language because he's a genius. Isaac Barter, he's amazing. Look him up. He's been a part of a lot of people's, he just is very good at collaborating with people. He understands the way different people talk, and he's just really good at kind of getting the idea of what you want, and then he writes the track, and then I just get to play on it and just write the verses and lyric and melodies up to me, which is so much fun.
Recently did
that's where I thrive.
Instagram stalk of his from
I think he is, your
posts, and I think he plays drums. I could be completely wrong, but for Didiri, he's one performer as
Didiri. Yeah, I've always wondered how to say that too.
Sorry. I did a bushfire relief concert at the Corner Hotel. And man,
I don't know either.
That was like, if you ever get a chance to check out one of their performances, I'm assuming he is a young guy, and just like songwriting, like huge.
I did at the start of COVID when him and I were finishing up songs. He was like, I can't do that recording session. I'm gonna go do that live show with Didri. And I was like, oh yeah, sweet. Well, I'll just check that out instead, because obviously now you've fucked my plans. You've put this famous guy in front of me. But no, I really enjoyed the live show. I love him as a drummer, and that guy, the singer, D-Bag. He's amazing. He's fucking amazing. And it's that kind of thing that inspires me and excites me, because he's young. Like there is so much young talent that you can sink your teeth into, that like part of me is like ashamed that I'm not that good, and I wasn't that good at that age, and I'm not that good at this age. But then I also think he's just doing his own thing. That one thing that I love to kind of come back to is that art can't be compared, and it makes me feel so much better that, you know, I'm just doing my form of art, and if you don't think it's as good as that person's form of art, that's okay, because that's what art does. Like
it's a gift.
You know, you get to have your favorites, and no one's wrong or right.
To be able to create it, to produce it, and also it's a gift to listen to it. And it's one of those things that like not a lot of people. I mean, the way the industry's sort of made it a profitable sort of thing, it's like people can take control of it, but it is one of the last art forms that is all you. It can be, if you want it to be.
Yeah, so true. Which, I mean, that freedom can be daunting, and having that responsibility on your head which is why I think I enjoy collaborating, because it's like, okay, shared responsibility. If this sucks, it's because both of us suck. You know what I mean? And doing everything yourself, it's like, well, I literally made every single artistic choice I could on this by myself. But with that, I think can come a certain amount of pride that you wouldn't have any other way, which is what I'm aiming to get to the point of where I'm doing everything myself would be a dream, and being proud of it. I think that's a long road, though. It is a fun road. But speaking of old Zachy boy, we've got a song that I'm doing some vocals for him, well, for me today, on a song that we've been working on for a couple of weeks that I'm so excited about, because it's like I'm starting to realise that the children that I'm birthing through these songs are having like,
Yep.
they've got, it's like finally I've realized what my songwriting style is, and it's way less schizophrenic than it ever has been. It's like I'm really just loving 80s synthy, poppy, dark, gothy vibes. Like disco goth is what I'm kind of referring to it as. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but they're the two words that come to mind when I hear the sounds that we've created together. And it's sounds that I haven't really heard. I'm sure there are millions of songs like what we have, but I've never really heard them. So it feels like when I sit down to write a song, from melodic choice to his synth choices, it's like it's own. It's finally I've got a song that I can attach my name to, that it's its own brand sort of thing, or its own vibe, its own genre even. Was it? No, I just started The Voice, and I met a guy called Luke Biskin, who you should check him out. His albums are freaking incredible. That guy is. If he doesn't blow up and be headlining festivals, I will eat my hat. Like it's Luke Biskin, Biscan, I think, but don't quote me on that. He was on The Voice, so we met.
So I grew up in Geelong.
Yeah.
Is he around the 30s?
Yep.
I don't remember.
Crazy curly hair,
really tall.
And was super religious. Does that ring a bell?
Right. Yeah, I didn't.
Actually, no, you know what? I just remembered. He sort of mostly grew up in Bristol. Yeah, I think it could be a different guy, but this guy's worth checking out. And we made friends on the plane because I was like, we were literally sitting next to each other, and I said, "Are you going to Sydney for The Voice?" And he was like, "Yes, I am." So we just got chatting, and we ended up like listening to each other's songs and on each other's earphones and like just chatting about life. And we became quite good friends and hanging out in Sydney together and getting food and just, hanging out in the hotel and, again, just listening to each other's songs and kind of just talking songwriting and music, because he's such a good songwriter. And he was like, "You should get in contact with the guy that produced these albums for me." And I was like, "I'd love to," because I loved the production on these songs like so much. And so I got back from my first round of The Voice, and like we were sort of just waiting to kind of go back, and we were sort of just floating around waiting to see what was happening with COVID and the restrictions, and waiting for The Voice to kind of redesign how they were going to continue the show, or if they were going to continue it and be allowed to. So I thought, I've got a few songs that I've been kind of working on and writing, and had all the chords laid down and stuff. And I sent it off to Zach, and he was like, "Yeah, do you want me to, basically work on these with you?" And I was like, "Well, I kind of want to see what it sounds like." And we did the whole thing like I just explained. And I was like, "You're so easy to write with. You literally listen to everything. You're not emotionally attached to your ideas or my ideas." He's just such a logical, calm, open-minded person. And he's so patient and very just kind. And it's like he kind of just finds the singer or the songwriter or the musician in you and sort of pulls it out. And he's like, "Is this what you are?" And it's like, "Yeah, no one's ever heard me before. No one's ever fully listened and respected my artistic direction." And when you find that person, this is what happens. Like you end up being happy with the songs, and you feel like that's a direct reflection of your personality. And I feel so attached to this that I'm so excited. It's giving me more inspiration to want to write songs, because now it's like I've got a whole vibe going on. Like my music finally matches my look. I've never had that before.
In the process of The Voice? How was talk me through the day-to-day sort of goings of the filming on The Voice? Like what's sort of your like morning routines in getting into the show?
So they would send you a text out the night before and say, "We're picking you up at X time," and the time would be different for each individual depending on the schedule that they had planned for you. And obviously they're organising a whole lot of people, so hats off to the organisers of that show, because it was so intense. So you'd kind of get your call. So say mine was 7:30 a.m, get picked up by a driver, go into the studio. I'd have a coffee and wait around till they said, "Stella, you're going to wardrobe." So then you'd try on your wardrobe and then fuck around in there for a while. And then someone had come, and you had a runner that was always with you all the time. And I'm pretty sure it's because, do you remember a guy called Altian Childs? He won the X Factor year that I was on.
Yeah.
I got to top 9 and he won. And
he was the runner, was he?
Kind of is renowned for being crazy. Like he was the guy that was, in the cave, found in a cave, and No,
Yeah.
but I think we had to have a runner. Like literally if I said I'm going to the toilet, they'll be like, yep, coming with you now, Stella, hang on. It's like, I know where the toilet is, but he would often disappear on the X Factor set. I remember it. He'd say, I'm going to blah, blah. And then everyone would be like, where's Altin? Where's Altin? And he just wandered off somewhere. And we wouldn't know where he was for hours. So thanks to him, we had to be sort of, like chauffeured around the place. But yeah, so someone would pick you up from wardrobe, and then you'd go to the set and do like a camera run through, and then you'd go back and maybe have some lunch. Then you'd go back to set and do an audio run through. Then you'd go back to the holding area and then maybe do a hair and makeup trial. It was just basically you're just constantly like either in hair and makeup, in wardrobe, on the set, in the holding area, at the vocal coaching session, back to the holding area. And it was just that, like every day. And sometimes you'd have a day or two off where you just chill out and work on your song. And I would always record my song and record it in like a million different ways to make sure I was happy with how I was singing it. But I'm just one of those people that I didn't ever want to risk fucking anything up. So I didn't go out and look at Sydney or vibe on Sydney or go get pissed with people, or I was just like, if I wasn't on set, I was having cups of tea and eating healthily and not using my voice. Like I even just didn't talk to my family much on the phone because I didn't want to
Is that a lesson
exhaust my voice
shows?
And then be terrible for the show. So it was
or it's just 101.
I don't know if it is. It was like something that felt like I intuitively had to do that. It was like just me always checking in with my physical self, and also just knowing it was draining answering because, if you weren't on all of those, by the way, you're doing interviews. So it was just such the days were really long and I really loved it, but you get really sick of answering the same questions. And so then when the producers would ask you questions of like, why is this performance so important to you? Or, why do you feel so connected to this song? And blah, blah, blah. And then the runner would pick you up from that interview that just went for an hour and a half. And then on their way to like walking you to the holding area, they'd go, so how was that, Stella? And are you enjoying your time here? And it was, some of them did that. Some would just like shoot the shit and they were really funny to hang out with. But it was just like, you didn't want to feel like a bitch, but you were like, can I just be silent for a sec? Like, and even in the holding area, sometimes the artists, it was great. Like the artists we're all on the same page. We'd all just put our earphones in. And it's like, we love each other and there's a time and a place for hanging out. But sometimes you're just like, let's all just save our energy. So when we're being asked questions in an interview situation, that we can even be bothered doing that, because you're just constantly communicating like all the time. Like, and it's draining for someone who's got a lot of introvert in their personality. Yeah. Like you just are dying to go back to your hotel room and just have a shower or a bath and just literally do or say nothing. Tour,
except you're essentially not having to go to an airport every morning. So like it's flying tours are the worst. A bus tour is almost as bad.
Which thank God.
But having to do those interviews before and after meet and greets are the soul destroying thing. Especially I remember within the drag shows and all that sort of stuff. I won't name who opened up to me about it, but people might sort of figure this out if they remember who, but like I remember in Adelaide there was a VIP meet and greet, and like this chick came up to her and was like, oh, you saved my life, you are my inspiration and all that sort of stuff, like you helped me through my time through cancer and all that sort of stuff, and she was like, oh, that's also good as well. And then as she like was walking out, I had to escort her back to the hotel, and she was just like, I don't help cancer. Like, this is like just fucking ridiculous. And she was like, I fucking like hate meet and greets. And then she's just got to jump out and do the big song and dance and just be like, it's another version of selling yourself. Like, I'm sure if you've had to do any meet and greets over the time, they are very.
They can be, and because you're not always in that mood to do that, and the other person that's waiting they've sometimes been waiting there for so many hours, and that means so much to them. So you've got that pressure in your mind of, I've got to energetically match this person's level to a certain extent. Like I've got to put myself into an energetic place where I want to be here right now, even though I'm so drained and I've been talking all day and I've been asked the same questions. And, you know, sometimes it can feel like you feel emotionally detached from them saying really beautiful things and really heartfelt things that are the biggest compliments in the world, but you're just not in there. Like you can't receive that information because it's sometimes, I guess, you're overwhelmed by this feeling or need to just be by yourself. So you can't even soak that in. Sometimes you just can't soak the love in. And then you've got the feeling of guilt because it's like, well, didn't I work this hard and this long to be experiencing this right now? But, you know, if only you could pick and choose your meet and greet days and you could have 3 days rest before you went and met these people and you could actually be in the right headspace to actually enjoy it for what it is. I mean, it's for them, let's be honest. It's not for the singer to get praise or the drag queen or, you know, it's to give back to the community. I personally love an opportunity to give back. I just had a Q&A with some people that you would say are fans, but I feel uncomfortable with that word, where like to celebrate the release of my Baby Burns film clip, I was like, I'm going to draw some names out of a hat, like comment on this post, I'll write down your names and I'll draw it out of a hat and we'll have a Q&A. Because, you know, I haven't been able to go on tour because of COVID, so I can't go and meet all these amazing people that are responsible for me having a newfound platform. And I'm such a big believer in giving back and giving thanks and recognizing, you know, sort of the reason you've got some element of success or, you know, now I've got lots of ears that are ready and waiting for the songs that I released, whereas 6 months ago I had maybe 1,000 people that would give a shit. So, and this is what I want to do with my life. You know, I want a career in music. I want for people to want to hear my music and to care about it, because that will afford me the career and the life that I really desire, which is songwriting and singing and performing and communicating and connecting with these people. So you, like, more often than not, having those conversions with people actually gives me life. It genuinely gives me energy. But I 100% understand the drag queen's energy that you're talking about, where you're just like, I'm just so tired, and I just feel like if people loved me at all, they'd leave me alone. like you have those moments where you just want to be left alone.
I'm second person here, but that level of responsibility. If someone's paid X amount of money to do this VIP meet and greet, where they come in, they're going to meet you for less than a minute, and say if it's 200 people, you've essentially got to reset how genuine you are to that interaction 200 times, and that is exhausting. And then have someone come through and mention the big cancer bomb, and you're just like, I feel sorry for the next 10 people because I've got to.
That's the thing, then.
I've got to digest that.
Yeah, so true. And I think it's really hard for me. This sounds weird, but I'm a Gemini, so I really always know how to put myself in the other person's shoes. Like, I can just imagine the other person being like, I can't wait to tell them my story and how they touched me, because that's my way of giving back. Like, you know, their intention is so pure and so lovely to open up to you and tell you something that's probably personal. Who knows? We don't know if everyone on Facebook knows that, but and they want to in that 1 minute be like memorable, you know. So they're thinking I'll be the person with that maybe, but really it can have a completely opposite effect on them that they probably even wanted for you, which is, you're then just like hugging the next person or saying hi to the next person, thinking that person almost died of cancer, or that person, you know what I mean? Like, and you're right, it would have a ripple effect that some people might not even know. But for me, I would prefer to know about the cancer and have a genuine, honest interaction than someone just go, hi, I don't want to waste your time, hi, bye. You know, like, I just would prefer to just know who, like, it's the same. I'm the same when I walk into a bar. If someone insists on speaking to me, that's just, I hate service chat. I hate it with a passion. That, if anything is soul draining to me, it's service. I will not with it.
Yeah.
Which is why you've been really nice to talk to, actually. Thanks. Cheers.
Pleasure, mate. Likewise. I'm enjoying this. seen the show Dating on the Spectrum?
I started to watch it for a quick second the other night, and then I realized it was in a documentary form and like a reality TV format. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not in the mood for this. I need to watch this when I'm in the mood for reality TV.
Yeah.
So 30 seconds. Why? Tell me.
It says the reality TV star. Come on.
I'm not a reality TV star.
There's a scene in the, I think the second or the third episode where one of the guys goes on a date to Comic-Con, and his previous date to that was quite a stressful experience for both of them, and he was quite frazzled from it. So they both go to Comic-Con. They both have a good time. Again, it's not a very good date, but he's set on that he's got this he's dressed up as Gilligan's Islands, the skipper or whatever it is. And he's there's a VIP meet and greet experience with I'm not sure what her name is, one of the ladies who's on Gilligan's Island. And it's one of those things where he's I believe he's autistic, but he's had a pretty terrible day, and the date is cut short, but he gets to go and do this VIP meet and greet, and it just brightens his day. So that was my example on the other side of the fence to what we're discussing. That there is beauty in meet and greets.
Yeah, that's so nice. That makes me happy because, I mean, that's what they're there for. Like I was saying, it's not about the talent. The talent get enough of perks. You know, they don't need another perk. They're getting to live their fucking dream, and they've got nothing really to cry about. I know it's draining, but these people, you know, that's a highlight of their possible life. So it's so important. And I guess that's why it's probably sometimes draining, because if you know the gravity and the impact you can have on someone, and you're not feeling amazing or you're not feeling in the mood, you've potentially fucked someone's like possible highlight of their life up because you're not in the mood.
The interaction that's the draining part. It's
obscene amount of pressure.
The business side of it. Like the fact you've got to pay for it is the draining part of it, and it's the part that it's a terrible business model. It's like trying to sell a hello where it's free anywhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. But I mean, who's someone that you would want to meet in the world? Like someone that you would pay $100 to just say hi to, shake their hand?
I've never done it. I think because I have like I'm 30. I've spent 15 years of my life building like these things for people. I couldn't think of anything worse than putting someone that I respect through what I know it is. Yeah.
100%. Exactly how I feel. That's so how I feel.
Question that's like usually sitting around a campfire at like 5 a.m. in the morning. My golden question is like, who, dead or alive, would you be like your 3 ultimate dinner guests? And it like, I would prefer to, like I would pay probably, I don't know who it would be, but I would rather pay like $10,000 to spend a day hanging out with someone.
You'd prefer to spend $10,000 to hang out with someone for a day?
$200 to get the signed photo of the photocopied photo.
Is that because you'd be able to at least give someone quality time?
But
that's nice. That's thoughtful. But then they'd have to hang out with
now I'm sort of thinking back to your time in Bahrain. Essentially, it's that. It's like,
you're that guy.
I'm not buying you as a person. I'm buying your brand. So let me hang out with you, please.
Yeah. Who are your 3 dinner guests? I'm sure you've got the answer, obviously.
Because it's one of those things that really makes you think.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to remember off the top of my head, but whenever I like am sitting around a campfire at 5 a.m., I'm very inspired.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I would spend too much time answering this question, and it's one of those deliberate questions that I hope that like makes people really think, and then it's the sort of thing when people answer, everyone rethinks what they did and went, oh fuck yeah, they'd be sick to hang out with, and just like
I want to say that person. Yeah.
But you also like there's so many levels to it, because you'd be like, oh yeah, that's a dinner party, but it's just like what sort of dinner party is it? Do you want it to be a good dinner party? Like, oh, what? Someone's bought a karaoke machine. Does that change your answer? Like,
yeah, and like, are we inviting Jamie Oliver just because we're going to make him be the cook?
Yeah,
Like,
or are
wouldn't
we
that be a
going to
great idea?
like bring Obama along and we're all just
I
going
would
to
love
fucking
to eat
like
his food.
try and fix the world and like have an early night? Like,
Yeah, that's done and dusted,
yeah,
guys. Okay, we got a lot of
Obama,
work done
get off your
today. Good.
phone.
We've saved the planet. Stop
Yeah.
tweeting everything we're talking about. Well, that's more Trump that would be doing that.
Are you very political?
I think I have strong emotions again about things, but I don't have enough knowledge to back it up to have fully deep conversations about it. But I just have very strong reactions into the way I feel the world should be run. And I just feel the world should be run with the environment being the first sort of, that should be the first priority.
Likewise. So politically speaking, or even personally speaking, do you find it hard to challenge your own perceptions? Are you open to challenging your perceptions, I guess?
I'm always open to new information because I just base my decisions off the information I have. So then if I learn something else, I'm more than happy to change my mind. I change my mind all the time as a female and a Gemini. Like, that's not something that I'm afraid of doing, and I'm not afraid of looking like an idiot if I'm wrong. I don't have a problem with that. I just, I think politically speaking, it just, for me, the world is in such a shambles. I actually almost want to bury my head in the sand because I feel like we're so far away from the world that I would like to be living in or that I'd be proud to be a part of. And this is pretty deep, that whenever I have suicidal thoughts, it's always tied to the state of the environment or what we do to animals and how we treat animals, and me having to be or call myself a part of the human race when I'm so disgusted in the things that we've done and the way we've treated people and animals over the thousands of years. It just blows my mind the amount of like pain and suffering that humans have put people and animals through completely unnecessarily. So that's not so, I don't know if that's even a political thing. It's just, I don't know, that for me is such a dark hole that I've been trying, I guess, not to really go into too much lately because I'm not a productive person in that place. It doesn't inspire me to write great songs. It just sucks the life out of me and makes me not want to get out of bed and not exist because I just think I don't want to be a person. If a person in the world means being related to these people, makes me sick. I hate it. I say that and I'm wearing a leather jacket.
It's so easy to get into that hole, especially like now in COVID when your main form of interaction with people is via social media and that sort of stuff. And just like the political climate of how media is portrayed to us is so like rubbish and like muddied with agenda. It's really hard to sort of develop an opinion these days with something that you can be passionate about because there's so much other stuff that has been filtered through that information to make it like profitable, to make it, accessible to sponsors to be able to sponsor that page whilst you're reading that political statement and that sort of thing.
100%.
So it's definitely been something that has challenged me through COVID and an American election year and all that sort of stuff. I don't consider myself to be very up to date with political things. I am drawn towards whatever's doing the better thing for the world, not necessarily for the economy. But everyone's got an agenda, it's hard to stay out of those things, and it's it definitely is a black hole, exactly how you've described it.
Yeah, it's interesting, yet it's fucking mind numbing and mind boggling. So it's just, and to touch on what you said, sometimes it is hard to, well, all the time it's hard to kind of trust the information you're receiving. Where's it coming from? What's the hidden agenda behind it? Like I almost feel like it's pointless for me to go, like everyone's like, do your own investigating and do your own research. And it's just like, yeah, but what's the point of it all anyway? Like even if I did all of that and worked out what the true piece of information is that I was searching for, like there's only so much fighting back I can do anyway. And my version of fighting back and doing good in the world is speaking my truth, standing up for what I think is right, going to rallies, trying to actively protest when I can, writing songs that are aligned to my beliefs, and hopefully creating conversations that I think need to be had in social circles. So, you know, and I know how I feel. So finding out all of that information and going down that, to me, it's like wasted energy, because rather than doing that, I could just be writing a song about animal activism or something.
Yep.
Which I have some songs kind of like that I need to finish and put out there, because they're important to me. I feel like they need to be accessible.
Yep. It's I mean, even like incredible movements such as like the Black Lives Matter movement, like you sit there and you wonder how anybody could disagree with it. It's but I think like people lose the meat and potatoes of what it is. But essentially, like, that slogan starts with those words, and then it's just like Chinese whispered into what that means to you, really. There's a lot of stuff that like Joe Rogan says that I can give or take, and mostly like there's some good stuff in there, but like I am definitely a fan. But yeah, just some of the stuff that like sort of come across that that instead of what the actual cause is, that, you know, and the effect it's having on the Black community, but they choose to report on like the negative like connotations that come from the protest. Much like, you know,
it's
like
a distraction. Everything's a distraction from the actual fucking problem here.
Yeah.
So nothing ever gets fixed. Nothing gets resolved.
That isn't him disagreeing with the cause, and that doesn't make him or anyone who sort of like reports on what isn't the idea of the protest. Like, it's just mud, and there is just so much mud with what we're consuming. Because like we're looking at our screens, like we're not able to go and have the conversations with those people. We're not able to contribute physically. It's only contributing with like money or a signature or your support via giving your social media presence, which, you know, should be worth nothing because you paid nothing for it. Yeah,
so true. It's pretty frustrating, isn't it? Like, I mean, if we're just trying to tackle such a basic issue in the world of someone's skin color shouldn't matter, and we all can't get on board, that's just a tiny piece of the puzzle. It's like, well, when is there going to be gender equality? When is there going to be like equality on all fronts? You know what I mean? Like, that just seems like such an obvious no-brainer. Like, of course everyone's the same. So how are we ever going to get to all the other things that matter so much as well? You know, it's just, I actually just got approached by Peter today to go live with them to talk about equality. I think Friday.
Cool.
Next Friday. Yeah, which would be cool. It's like, I'm in, like, hopefully my brain's working better then than it is right now, but it's just, I find I'm not often tongue-tied or twisted, or I'm really good at not really good, but usually I can articulate the way I feel about things. But with things that are this stupid, like, it's stupid to me that we can't just get on board with treating people and each other with respect and kindness and equality. Like, I don't understand how anyone could stand there and argue that. It really genuinely hurts my brain. And more than anything is heartbreaking. It's just disgusting.
Well, I think that chat on that platform, you'll be preaching to your own choir. So it'll be a pretty natural conversation. And like, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with anything you've got to say. So should.
Oh, look, but you know, if I wore this jacket, there's always haters out there. You know what I mean? There's always something that someone's going to go, yeah, but what was your lipstick tested on an animal? It's like, well, no, this one wasn't, but I own some that are that I bought before I turned vegan, and this jacket was bought before I turned vegan. And to be honest, I still buy secondhand leather as a vegan. If I see a pair of Doc Martens online that are my size, that are something I've wanted, I will most likely think about buying it, and not 100%. It really depends on my mood on the day. Sometimes I get in the mood that I just think I'm just going to save up and buy the vegan version of that. You know what I mean? So it really depends.
Essentially, like, everybody wants to help. It's everyone's different version of helping, and everybody wants the world to function in their version of what is a good place. Like, even people saying, like, giving you shit for wearing a leather jacket, being a vegan, like, that's the same mud that we were talking about in the other thing. Like, like,
It's detracting from the message, or it's trying to dilute, or it's trying to distract. And it's just like, stop being that person that's pointing at something else in the room so we're not addressing the issue that we're talking about right now. Or I find, and my sister brought this to my attention. She was like, I think people would just do that because that's their way of deflecting that they feel bad because they're not doing that. And I was like, I don't know, because I don't think that anyone should feel bad if they're trying, even if they're trying to just not eat bacon on Monday morning, but they eat bacon from Tuesday to Sunday. That's awesome. They've eliminated a meat from one meal from one day a week. I applaud that. Like that means that they've taken something away that they loved and would otherwise be doing, because they're trying to put something else first before their taste buds or before that what they want. And that will eventually grow, hopefully. And they'll be like, well, I don't actually mind eating just eggs on a Monday. I might do it on a Wednesday too. Like I've noticed I feel lighter after that. Or, you know, I noticed I feel less guilty when the truck that drove past me filled with pigs. I just didn't feel as bad because you know what I mean? Like as you sort of like try to make, because everything's a decision in life. And if you try to make the ones that align with your values and your morals more and more and more, you just feel better and better and better as a person. Like you just carry around less guilt and, you know, you're aligned with yourself. And I think there's still things that there's ways that we can all be better and there's ways we can all be worse. But if you're just trying, then that's all I can ask. When people ask me if I'm a vegan, like outright, I'm like, well, I try to be, but like sometimes I fuck up. I'm just a person. I'm just trying the best I can. Yeah. And if I'm going to get shat on by people, then so be it.
Yeah,
like,
and veganism has that stigma amongst like the general public as like, and like it's definitely switching. Like the fact that you can get like an Impossible Patty from Hungry Jack's is like,
they're so good.
They're coming. Vegan, it's like, and it's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it is. I say this as someone who loved eating meat. I genuinely enjoy those burgers. Like, same with Grilled, do a really good vegan burger, or vegan burgers. Because, people are like, why do you try to eat fake meat if you're a vegan? Like, isn't that defeat the purpose? It's like, nah, dude, the purpose is to not pay people to murder things that want to be alive. Like, it's never had anything to do with my taste buds. Yeah. And I wish I was a vegan that just naturally preferred not meat, because, I mean, wouldn't that be easy? You wouldn't have to give up or sacrifice something that you loved. But I did have to, because I come from a Greek family where we used to put a lamb on the spit growing up and, you know, have tzatziki and flatbread and yum. Like, that shit's yum. Yeah. The first thing I did when I became vegan was find a good burger, which I got the Linda McCartney burgers, put them in the oven, chopped them up, and I made a tzatziki out of silken tofu and lots of other ingredients like lemon and some kind of vinegar. Was it apple cider vinegar that you put in it? And, you know, cucumber and a bit of dill if you like it, and heaps of garlic. And I just, basically my point is I had to make sure that there was foods like a souvlaki that I could eat as a vegan, because I just thought, I don't know if I'm going to last doing this. I'm going to need this food.
Me and my fiance,
your fiance.
Just before COVID hit, we went and did a salami making weekend with my brother's partner's family.
That sounds fancy. Are they Italian?
Yes, Griffith Italian. We did some terrible things to animals on that day. I have always been someone who's consumed quite a lot of meat. From that experience, funnily enough, it wasn't. We've gone vegetarian from the start of COVID. Right. I have slipped up. I have chicken in my fridge.
It's okay. You're doing the best you can.
Yep. But we did 10 weeks without it, and it was a beautiful 10 weeks. I felt incredible. That's so great. Got to see all the benefits, but it wasn't necessarily the fact that I was involved in a process of like a vegetarian or a vegan nightmare on creating this salami, like carving meat off a bone and that sort of stuff. It's just the way the world is at the moment that made me do it. On the fact that like COVID exists, you know, from what little I know about it, like if it did start from the consumption of a bat at a wet market, that's fucking terrible. We don't need it. But like I think I was even driving home from the salami making weekend, and I saw one of those cattle trucks or whatever it was. And it was just like, I just don't like eating meat anymore because it's just the sustainability of it. Like, how can I get a chicken from Coles cooked for like $5? Like, that chicken is worth
insane.
Nothing. And like, that's sort of like my version to it. But like, I did 10 weeks, and like, we've just got a thing now where it's just like, we just don't buy it. If we want to eat it, like if we're out for dinner, like, oh fuck it, like let's get it, whatever, because you know you want to do it. But yeah, we're just going to support the not support the industry as much as we can, really. It's other than
that's so great.
Yeah, it's just it's one step. Like like I love cheese. We both are like big wine fans. So it's like it's step by step. But even through that, like, I kind of found myself doing that whole thing, you know, that typical or like stereotypical vegan thing of like all my friends that are vegan or vegetarian be like, you know, I'm also vegetarian at the moment, and just be like, become my own billboard. And like, it's like, fuck, like I used to be that kid at school who would give the vegans shit, and now I'm the billboard.
Oh, I've definitely given vegans shit in my past too, and vegetarians. It's annoying because you give them shit because you feel them sitting on a high horse. And it's just like, I think I did the high horse thing for a couple of weeks because I felt this really weird shift in my emotions where I was like my emotions were heightened to a certain point. And I never experienced this in my life. But once I cut everything out and I made that decision, I made it public on Facebook so I could be held accountable to it if anyone ever caught me cheating.
Yeah.
And I remember I just felt like so enraged by like what I'd been supporting. And I think because I just learned about the dairy industry, and so that's what kind of made me switch over from I was vegetarian for 10 years anyway, and then I went to vegan, and I was so annoyed with myself and annoyed with people that were doing it. And then after kind of getting that out of my system or whatever that was, a couple of weeks in, I was like, only fuckwits talk like this. I'm not going to do any good for the animals, you know, ranting to people or talking down to people. And it's not how I feel anyway. Like, when people used to talk to me like that when I was a meat eater, it just made me instantly go, shut up, you're trying to tell me what to do with my life. You don't know me, and you don't know that I'm actually a good person. And that's true. Like, good people eat meat. Good people eat cheese. I think good people sometimes kill people. I don't think that, you know, if you're in a situation where you accidentally run someone over, or you're fearing for your life and you grab a knife and stab someone to save yourself and they die, that doesn't mean that all the good in your life has been, you know, washed away. That's not what defines a good or a bad person. It's intention.
Yeah, I mean, like, my motto on those sorts of things is like, do whatever the fuck you want, just don't hurt anyone.
Exactly. And that's where I think a lot of the vegan vegetarians come from. Some people are vegan or vegetarian for sustainability and for the environment, and some people are because they're like, I want to live in a life where no one's getting hurt. And neither one is more admirable, I don't think, you know. You don't get an award.
I can't remember what podcast I was listening to, but it was two comedians discussing like their rise to fame in like the LA comedy scene and that sort of stuff. And one of them mentioned that, you know, people were like egging them on, that sort of stuff, but their harshest critics, one of them was like Bill Cosby. And he was doing that sort of thing where he's like, oh man, why do you have to go up on stage and like say all those profanities and all that sort of thing? And it's just like, Bill Cosby's telling you to be like a better person. And it's just like,
to raise your game. Yeah. Wow.
Like, look at me now, motherfucker. Like, it's just, I found that so
that's rich.
Like that's just like, and this is during, like they were discussing it because it was like the time where he was getting that, you know, heavy hand from Bill Cosby is when he was doing all that terrible shit. And it's like, so imagine like, having that frame of mind. So he was just telling people to be PG, put on that comfy Cosby sweater because he was masking the fact that he was a fucking rapist.
Yeah, isn't that insane? How do you... And I think he must have been like... it's like he wasn't admitting to himself at all the kind of person he was, just to be on a moral high ground.
Yeah. I mean,
or compartmentalizing it, or just not even seeing it as wrong, thinking that maybe women wanted it or whoever wanted it. Like, people, I think, genuinely can convince themselves that they're not a bad person. I remember when that hashtag Me Too, you know, sort of movement came out, and all these guys in my life were like, this is ridiculous. Like, not all these girls are getting raped or like sexually abused. Like, there's no way in the world that all these people. And I was like,
it's mud.
Are you serious? Like, there are relationships I've been in where I've been forced to be sexual with someone that I wasn't in the mood for, and you end up just rolling over and being like, fucking, I guess just do it because you're not giving up anytime soon. And they genuinely remember that as like, yeah, we had sex, it was consensual. It's like, no, that person, I said no a few times before that and like was not into it during it.
Yeah.
But they even look at themselves as like their hands are clean. They've never put a woman in that position. It's like, yeah, people do it all the time, and that's what this movement's for. It's to make you just double check yourself and like think to yourself, is this person into it? And like, again, they're not necessarily a bad person, because I don't think that they're recognizing, but they're not recognizing that they're making someone do something that they're not into, and it's a form of bullying. But what that can actually do to a woman or a man's soul, that, when you get forced into those situations a few times, and that's so the lighter end of the spectrum. Like, we're talking about people in the hashtag movement that have been gang raped by 10 people. Like, clearly when you're just having sex with your partner that you're not in the mood for, literally they're worlds apart. But the point is, it was opening up conversation to have with your average boy, your average friend, uncles, dads, cousins, whoever.
That I might have done in my past that I would have considered to be like completely
acceptable
chill,
or okay,
chill for the other person. Have I ever?
Me too.
That?
As a woman, I think guys need to just pause and go, women do it too. Like, women have pushed themselves on men when they're horny. Like, it's not just about let's shame men, you know what I mean? And I think that men think, don't compare me to a fucking rapist. Don't compare me to someone that's gang raped a woman. It's like, I'm not comparing you to that. That like they're not the same thing. It's just we all need to look at ourselves. yeah, totally.
But especially
it's really cute of you to do that.
Especially within the music industry, like it's a completely male-dominated industry, both in business and in the production land. And it would be incredibly difficult for a young woman or a young gay trans person to be able to contribute to this industry in the way that it is at the moment. And it's the beautiful thing from the Me Too movement is that it has become boutique industries such as the music industry have on their process of become more accessible for everyone to both watch a show or to contribute to a show.
Yeah, and I think it's just changed the way people approach conversations, and it's like people are a bit more scared now because the victims aren't afraid to shine a light on it anymore because they're not feeling alone anymore. When you come together, there's power in that. So,
and the pendulum's been swinging so hard towards the other way. It's like it has to come back with vengeance.
Yeah, it does. It's the only way to kind of start finding an even platform. And again, that goes back to veganism. It's like, why do vegans have to do this? It's like, because it's been swinging that way so hard. They're going this way so hard. And really, if we could find a middle ground that was beautiful, then wouldn't we all want to live on that, like in that way, where it's not so extreme, like when there's not billions of animals being slaughtered or billions of women being, and children or gay men and trans being sold into sex slavery. Like, there's such an extreme dark world that people don't shine a light on often for a lot of different reasons. And I'm sure because they feel powerless to change anything is a big part of it.
Yeah, totally.
Which is, it's just a crazy, crazy world we live in, Aiden.
Yeah, I mean, the world is such a beautiful place, but beyond that beauty exists so much terrible, terrible shit that is that is like, even throughout COVID, like the statistics that we're getting fed every day and like, people dying due to COVID or people contracting COVID, like those statistics, like there are so many more important statistics that exist and have existed for a very long time that will continue to exist past COVID that will not be addressed like COVID has been.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? Like, who decides that that's the thing that we talk about for a whole year as opposed to sex trafficking? Like, what?
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Who makes these rules?
Yeah.
And what's the point of it all?
Yeah, like more people die of cancer globally. Why don't we stop and all chip in for a whole year and figure out cancer?
Yeah, totally.
It could be that simple. Everyone's
same.
We're just going to figure out cancer right now. Imagine that.
Yeah. Don't go to work. Just stay at home. We're just going to figure some shit out because we're really sick of burying everyone that we love because of cancer. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Like I'll be up there mixing the lectern whilst they're addressing all the people on how to fix. Like we'll all figure out a way to help. How did you find, what was your approach to like the judges' criticism on the show? Or any of the shows, really? Was it what was sort of the feelings going in your head pre-receiving that criticism to absorbing it and then reacting to it in front of a camera?
Oh, okay, that's really interesting. I think you need to show some kind of gratitude and graciousness when you're receiving criticism because the public like to see you as someone that isn't above someone else's opinion, especially someone that's famous. And you might not genuinely agree with it. It's okay if you're sitting at home on the couch and you disagree with the judge. That's okay. That's completely normal. But if you're a singer on the stage being critiqued and you stand up to the judge, that's very naughty, very wrong, bad person. You know what I mean? And it's interesting. It's like, who are you? Who made those rules of like the person that's never done a gig or sang or, become the singer that they are to be able to get onto a show? Like, why are you stripped? Sorry, my dogs are shaking. And why are you stripped of your ability to have an opinion because you're all of a sudden on the show? I guess you're putting yourself in that platform or that arena where their job is to critique you or say something bad, whereas when you're at home watching the show, your job is to critique the whole thing. Like you get to critique the judges and you get to critique people's, the wardrobe department and the singer that you're watching and the set design people. It's like the audio, like you're the judge of everything when you're sitting at home. Sorry.
Yeah.
But those kind of things go through your mind for sure.
Yeah. Whenever I think of something like The Voice, like I always my image that pops into my head is like the demographic of that show being like infinity. But I just imagine these people like families sitting around at their around their like couches and all that sort of stuff. Everyone's sitting there all like warm and happy in their lovely fireplace lit homes. And then it takes someone to sing like an off note, and then everyone just goes, oh, as if they are like some kind of fucking entitled like singing coach themselves. Like,
yeah, as if they could have sang that song 10 times better than what just happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is interesting, but I mean, I'm guilty of it too. It's just like, don't call yourself a singer if you can't sing every note in tune. But then it's like, well, most of my favorite singers don't sing every note in tune. That's what I love about them. I love Cat Stevens, and I find him to be quite authentic and emotional, and it's more about the storytelling. And same with Van Morrison.
Yeah.
These people don't have the most perfect vocal ability, or they're not a Beyonce.
Yeah.
They're not that at all. They're like the opposite of that. And I think I put myself in their category more than I would a Beyonce category.
Totally. And like that person sitting there on their couch, they haven't had to get up at 8 a.m. and go and do press all day and go and catch a flight and then do that show and then have a moment of weakness and then realize if they do have a moment of weakness, they're going to have someone on their fucking couch going, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that's,
oh, you didn't do it very
like,
good.
how dare you like not be in tune for my palate?
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And like, I mean, we're putting ourselves in that situation, so it's hard to be angry about it, but it is frustrating. And to take on, look, it was okay for me to take on the critique of those judges because I do respect all of them as singers. It was a lot harder to take critique from Kyle Sandilands on Idol.
Yeah.
Who is he to tell me that
he can get in the bin? And I will say that.
Oh, literally.
You are the. Oh, there's not many people that I wish didn't exist other than him.
He's he can be a pretty gross human. Like he's got a great sense of humor, and actually vibe with him on a personal level, like just jamming, as conversation.
There's plenty of them.
Exactly right, dime a dozen. And he's made a career out of being a shock jock. And good, you do that well. You did it for a second, and now you're pretty irrelevant.
Yeah, it goes back to the mantra of like, do whatever you want to do, just don't hurt anyone. Like Sam Newman's in the same bin.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Like you can be a shock jock, you can do all that. Just hurt yourself and get ratings off that. Don't take any passengers.
Yeah, exactly right. Do the world a favour, but they can't.
Yeah.
Because what would they be doing otherwise? Like stocking shelves at Woolies?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, just
what are they good at?
Back to sort of like the psyche of a performer and that sort of thing. A band that I toured with last year, North Lane, they released a really successful album, and the content of the album was heavily based around the singer's upbringing, which was a pretty like traumatic upbringing with like drugs and like abuse and all this sort of stuff. Going and approaching that tour for someone who's written and exposed themselves so much lyrically and like emotionally, and put it on for everyone to sit there and dissect is a challenge in itself. And they've just released, or they released a documentary a while ago, so I can now discuss this. But 2 days or 2 or 3 days before we went off on the US tour, his mum passed away, and he had to miss his mum's funeral, which he hadn't spoken to in like 2-3 years, and she hated the fact that their lives were now to public knowledge, and having to go through that, and then having to do a VIP meet and greet and talk about all this sort of stuff, and then go out on stage and like honestly, man, the first show, like tears of just like he didn't join us for any of the rehearsals because we were obviously priorities and all that sort of stuff, letting him do his own thing. There was a moment there where we were at the airport wondering whether he would turn up, and all of us were in agreement that if he didn't, we would like completely respect it and like pack our bags, go back home and, and figure it out because, of that sort of thing. So it's like dealing with criticism and all that sort of stuff. I mean, like, I'm guilty of it too. Like I listen to a lot of podcasts, and there's a lot of podcasts that I will openly say that like I don't enjoy. But
me too. Like, it really depends on the podcaster's voice for me. If they have a lisp or some too much spit in their mouth, I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah. This like if I hear like some like basic questions, I'm out. Like if it's just like let the guest talk. But I've now put my own podcast together, and I know like this is episode 2. And I know how difficult it is. Like the first one was pretty difficult for me. So the guest I had, so I've just completed a mental health first aid certificate. And so the first guest was my instructor on that course, who was incredible. Paige was her name. And it had a like profound effect on me, that course. And it gave me the confidence to do this podcast. So it was perfect to have her on as the first guest. But yeah, until you put yourself out there and expose yourself, especially in like creative industries, it's like you really you check yourself when you do make those comments. And I guess that could apply to anything, whether you're an accountant or a person at a phone center. Like people at phone centers, like I got a mate, my mate Tyson, who used to work at a phone center, and when he gets those calls that I would typically hang up with, he sits there and he has a chat. Like he goes, hey, man, like I'm not going to buy anything, but how's your day going? He's like, fuck. Oh, how good is it to talk to someone? Like they love it. Like, and you typically,
that's great.
Like there's just so many sides to every shape.
Oh, 100%. It's interesting. And I think, well, my main thing is always trying to come at everything, especially like recently in recent years. It's like I just need to work on gratitude. I feel like gratitude is the thing that keeps getting me through depression, and it gets me through when things don't go my way. It's like it's trusting the universe, and if I'm getting bad critiques or if I'm having to deal with someone's shit on the phone or whatever the case may be. It's just like there's always something to be grateful for, and to I guess you can flip the coin. It's just like, I mean, I don't feel like I got too much harsh criticism on The Voice, but Kyle Sandilands did piss me off because he'd said that I don't have a likable personality or something, and it only pissed me off because there was a form of injustice there, because not like Australia didn't have the chance, I know, to get to know me as a person. And so I was like, you just forced your opinion down Australia's throats. And I know Australia can be smart and people at home can be smart and they can think for themselves to a certain extent, but that's planting a seed, and I didn't appreciate it because on The Voice and on Idol and on X Factor, I'm always I'm like the mum of every group that I'm in. Yeah. I'm the maternal person that's like, are you going to be okay tonight? And do you want me to bring you a cup of tea? Or, I'm a caring person by nature. So to say that I'm unlikable or that the only reason I've never made it was because I put people offside, it's like, that's fucking bullshit and you know it. I may have pissed one of your staff members off, which was his personal assistant at the time, which him and I became good friends because he took something I said in a humour the wrong way. And then when he realised that I'm not the kind of person that he thought I was, he was like, fuck, I had you all wrong. It's like, I make jokes sometimes and, sometimes they fall flat on their face, and sometimes they can be, I guess, offensive if you don't know who I am. Like if you don't realise that I'm actually I joke about a lot of things that I have problems with. I joke at...
Coming from Kyle Sandilands.
It's not politically correct.
Say that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. I think anyone else here could say that, Kyle, but you've built a career off being almost not likable.
Listen, mate, when one of your jokes lands flat on its face, you come see me.
Yeah.
Tell me how that makes you feel.
Yeah. Oh God, it's ridiculous.
I've just got
your fate's in the palm of their hands, unfortunately, when you're a singer with no credibility.
Yeah, I mean, from what little time you and I have spent together, being just limited to the walls of the GH and that sort of stuff. I mean, even going back to what I was saying before, and I felt like I was a visitor there. Someone like yourself, and I would like you were an absolute breath of fresh air through those halls of all the bullshit that was going on and that sort of stuff. So I would 100% disagree with anyone that would think that your personality doesn't add to the room in a positive way, rather than some kind of fucking shock jocks version of what drama is like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that, and I appreciate you thinking and feeling that way, because even there's a part of me that holds a lot of regret or disappointment in myself if I didn't ever reach out to you enough or check in with you enough, because in my experience, the sound guys are emotional rocks and they take everything with a grain of salt, and they often, I guess, they just come off so emotionally independent that I think I'm guilty of not checking in or not remembering someone's name. And this has been a good conversation for me. It's almost like how the hashtag #MeToo has made you rethink. It's like, have I remembered every sound guy's name, and have I ever made people feel like they're lesser than because they're not the one on the stage performing? I fucking hope not, because I honestly don't believe that.
Imagine that being a global
a hashtag.
Hashtag, what's your sound guy's name? And just move over Black Lives Matter. When was the last time you thanked a sound guy?
Honestly, it's something that needs some light. Okay.
Honestly, if you would have asked me when we were at the GH, if I was fine, I would have told you I was fucking golden, and I was. This is all just things that I have had the time to grow up with and digest and learn from. I had an absolute ball there, and I honestly would not have changed anything in the world that happened at GH, other than the fact it should have been more successful, and it should have remained that safe space for people to go and express and find their brand new personalities when they come from a regional city and move to the big smoke. It's a beautiful thing.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
Bloody dogs. I'm really glad then that you feel that way, and sometimes it does just take reflection to look back at things and be like, that sort of damaged my soul a little bit, or I definitely felt like people, didn't respect me there, or they weren't grateful for all the hard work I put in, because you very much felt like the glue that was holding that place together in every single regard. So the fact that the glue was feeling like a visitor makes me feel sick. I hate that for you.
I mean, like Jason Rooney, he was the one who got me in there, and he absolutely was a career mentor, just like how to react, like how to be in a workplace, more importantly, and like work ethic and that sort of stuff. So I owe a lot of that stuff to him. I definitely would have walked into that position with a massive ego on like I'm a big rock star and all that sort of stuff. And I was young, and I would have been telling people that I'm capable of doing heaps of shit, but put me in the deep end, and I would have watch me burn. And that's been a lot of my development in myself, is like I've thrown myself into the deep end, and I've thrown myself into like some very fucking deep pools in my life, and I've had to learn how to swim on my own, and I'm still learning how to swim. Like I lost a really big gig very early on in my life with a band called Periphery. I toured with them a couple of times when they came to Australia, and I had never mixed monitors before in my life, and I said, "Yep, I'm your guy. I will mix monitors on Soundwave." And
fake it till you make it,
got
babe.
up to Soundwave, and oh man, it was the biggest, like probably one of the most important learning curves of my life was that thing. I didn't mix.
Was it a schmozzle?
Like they had to stop. Like I altered the show. It was an absolute train wreck. And it was all on me. There was many deterring factors on the reason as to why that happened, such as like it was during there was flooding. So like in New South Wales, so a lot of the production gear actually got stuck in Sydney. So they actually had to just sort of beg, borrow and steal. So a lot of the gear that was spec'd for the show wasn't available. So there's this brand new console that I'd never used before, and I've got 6 highly trained professional world-class touring musicians on stage, and I've got to work out how to use this console with a 10-minute changeover. And it was just like someone with experience would have been able to deal with that and probably able to communicate to the artist that I'm going to struggle here. I'm going to need you guys to work with me. It's not going to be ideal, but we're going to get through this together. Whereas I was like, yep, no, this will be fine. I'll be able to make this happen. And just like burnt.
But it sounds to me like what you were promising, you could do what you were promising. It's just you actually ended up getting a gig that you didn't sign up for.
Well, no,
you know what I mean? So that's unfair on yourself.
I signed up, and I drowned in the deep end, 100%. And
God, you're hilarious. I love this story.
The guys, to their credit, man, like they were the best guys. Like these guys amongst the metal community are like highly regarded as like incredible people, business people and all that sort of stuff. And they've sort of reinvented like what it is for like a heavy music musician on how to run a business and that sort of stuff. And every single one of those guys reached out to me once I had been booted from the tour and that sort of stuff, and had conversations with me. And basically from what I took out of it was that they were not going to be the vessel for my next like advancing on like my own journey, which took me about 2 years to digest and realize that sort of stuff. But man, whenever they come to town, we catch up and all that sort of thing. And, you learn from that. I didn't do what I do. I didn't mix for like 2 years. I went into retail and found out what depression could be by working a desk job.
Yeah.
Like working a desk job was the thing that broke me with my depression, not that, which is like, which I really value in my own learnings and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I mean, like, 10 years later, I'm doing a similar sort of thing where I'm swimming in a pretty deep pool with North Lane just last year. And I lost that gig midway through Europe. Just again, it was just out of my depth. But I did so much, and I'm so proud of what I was able to achieve with those. It's been a pretty like challenging one to recover from, but it will. It's on its good way. I'm back on talking terms with the guys because the conversations and what we were able to share like as friends in that tour bus, and from the story before on, the content of the album, that sort of thing. Like everyone was very we like. I'll refer to it, and they would agree that I was put into a brotherhood, and it was incredibly fortunate to be put in that category with those guys, because like they're some people I really highly respect. Like even they've got doing a live stream tonight actually, which is Friday the 21st. And they're doing a worldwide stream of the show we did at the Roundhouse Theatre in Sydney. And that's the biggest show I've ever done production-wise in my life. Like that was the most work, the biggest like design, and like putting the team together, tour managing, getting it all happening. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that. It's essentially my resume is being put on the screen, which is pretty exciting.
I think you should expect to get contacted soon, babe. That sounds amazing. I'm so proud of you. You're just, the shit that you're achieving is absolutely mind-blowing and phenomenal, and I could only dream to have like a 100th of your organisational skills and your know-how. I've just got so much admiration for that.
I love hearing it, because it's something I really have no confidence in saying that I possess. It's something that I've never really prided myself on, being organised and that sort of thing. My life is sort of, I mean, whether it's COVID or not, I'm moving into like teaching and lecturing and that sort of stuff. I've got this new passion for mental health that fascinates me heaps. So whether my next moves in life involves touring around the world, like I'm getting married at the end of the year, and I kind of want to be home more. I kind of feel like I've ticked a lot of those goals. It's going to need to be a passion project to make me leave the country again, I think. There's a couple artists that I work with that would be the one for me. But like, yeah, a lot of, especially like how COVID has sort of reflected on the music industry, and how, people that I have looked up to in production land, and people who have mixed, there's guys who have been on retainers with like world touring arena bands who have had to sell their houses and they're living with their parents and that sort of stuff. So I want to start a family, and it's that sort of touring and putting yourself on the line for like a day rate, which is, definitely it's a dream. And I haven't necessarily finished that dream, because like mine was unfortunately cut short from the last tour I did. But this new path of going down into education and hopefully getting in that sort of thing it's a much more sensible way of going about it.
Do you think you'll get bored?
That's what this podcast is for. I'm essentially curing that creative itch. And that ability to develop something with this podcast, so I can do a real job that's safe for me and my family. But this is all for me, and this is the first project I've ever done by myself. This is my first solo project. I've always been in bands and that sort of stuff. I've always been in production circumstances where I've had a team around me and a team that inspires me. And what I've enjoyed so much about this is all me. I've never done this before, and this is really exciting for me at the moment.
Yeah, I'm super pumped for you. Are you a Pisces? Oh, when you were talking about the organisational thing, I was thinking Virgo's got to be in his chart, but then your emotional side feels very Pisces. But yeah, Virgos are renowned for being able to walk into a room essentially and go, that needs doing, that needs doing, that needs doing. You know what I mean? Like they're often the venue manager, or like that they take on those those roles of boss. But yeah, and in the very last second, I was thinking, no, maybe Pisces. I wish I had said Virgo now.
I wish I had more questions for you in regards to this stuff. It's just, I think like a lot of people can either take it or leave it with that sort of thing. Like it fascinates me, but it just it hasn't grabbed me.
Oh, look, it feels very hocus pocus, I think, to a lot of people. It's almost how, well, a lot of people would maybe look at religion or believing in Jesus. It's like, and which I would say I'm probably spiritual agnostic. I'm not 100% an atheist, but I don't believe in any form of religion. I'm probably just more of a spiritual person. But for some reason, there's something about horoscopes and the stars, which is why I wanted a celestial name like Stella, because something really grabs me by my balls with it. And I'm so intrigued how, like, when I meet a Gemini, I usually know. It's just like, oh my God, there's too many similarities going on. We're two the same. We're both getting bored at the topic at the same time and we need to switch it. And a lot of Virgos that I've met are often just like, really, really organized, maybe not so much in their bedrooms. A lot of people say, yeah, but I've got a messy bedroom. It's like, it's not about that. It's like they just have a weird ability to know what order to do things in. Like they can prioritize most important to least important without even thinking about it. Whereas a Gemini is just like, girl, like that's overwhelming. That's not a strong point. But yeah, there's too many similarities in the people that I love and the star signs that they are and what they have in common for me to go, it's all a coincidence. It just cannot be. It's crazy. Like the time you were born, the place you were born. It's funny how all of that can possibly make a blueprint of, not to say that you're not in charge of your destiny. Of course you are. Like I remember before I went to the Middle East, I went to see a psychic because it was around 9/11. It was like a year or so after that, and everyone's like freaking out. You're going to get bombed on, and I was like, that seems extreme. I'm gonna go to my psychic, and I'd never been to this one before in particular, but she was really recommended. And I knocked on the door, was waiting. She had the screen door and her door, and she opened her door, and then she opened the screen door, and she was like, "Oh, I just got like bars in front of you, which represents a contract. Are you about to sign a contract?" And I was like, I'm walking into this house and I'm going to see what the fuck you've got to say for the rest of the hour, because that's insane. And I sat down and she was like, I'm just feeling like you're not sure. There's overseas happening, but there's a contract that you need to work out if you want to sign it or not before. She was like, I guess I'm just letting you know that it's safe to do so. You're going to be fine. It's going to be a good experience. Go overseas, see the world. And I was like, okay. And midway through this same psychic experience, she said, there's a guy called William here, and he's putting a rose down and he's saying he misses you. And I was like, I don't know a William. She was like, yeah, William, he's passed. He's moved on, but he's putting a rose down, a yellow rose, and saying, I miss you. And I was like, I don't. And then I was like, oh, Bill. Bill was my father figure growing up. It was my best friend in primary school's dad, and he'd committed suicide when we were in grade 8. And that really affected me because, he was a father figure. Like I loved Bill. I felt he was one of the first male energies that I'd ever come in contact with that I felt 100% safe and like I could be myself and I was going to get looked after, and he was reliable. And if he said he was going to pick you up, he'd pick you up, and he made sure you'd had dinner and you'd gone to bed and brushed your teeth or whatever. You know what I mean? He was just like a good dude. And yeah, that psychic experience, which I guess I'm bringing up because I relate psychic experiences to tarot reading, to star signs. Like to me, they're all sort of the same realm, of the same ilk. So yeah, interesting.
I love hearing.
Highly recommend.
Like the schematics behind why people love things that don't necessarily like apply to me.
True.
Like
Same.
Not something I like reject. It's just like nothing's just grabbed me on it. Like it doesn't hurt anyone. So it's just like, one of those things of like I just don't know enough about it.
For sure. It's like me in politics.
It's like I don't like anything really. What the aim of what I'm about to do is like ask you a bunch of questions, and let's aim for short responses. And essentially, we're just trying to do like a little bit of like profiling. That's like
I'm excited.
Essentially, not challenging, but like nothing is related. These aren't questions that are aimed, like this is a list of questions that I've got for everyone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes
sense. Have you ever
sense.
stolen anything?
Yes.
What was it? Yeah.
Do you want to know what it is? Blue cheese from Coles.
Oh, no, you're an awesome vegan.
It was before I was a vegan, and my husband used to call me the cheese thief because I did it several times. I was just like, I'm not paying that amount of money for that tiny bit of cheese. I just go plop in my that was as an adult, literally. It would have been like 5 years ago.
Yeah, fuck that cow.
Sorry, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, if the cow probably would have been standing there to get milked anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
You've got a red pill or a blue pill. The red pill, you're a 10-year-old with your knowledge, or you're a 45-year-old with $45 million.
And that's the blue pill. A 45 with
the red pill is the 10-year-old with your knowledge.
Blue pill.
Blue pill is 45 with 45.
Yeah. I'd go 45 with 45.
Right. Fascinating.
Yeah. I don't want to be as enlightened as I am as a 10-year-old with no power, no one listening to me. And also, I don't think that any of the knowledge I have would make me $45 million by the time I was 45 if I was this smart as a 10-year-old.
Right. Huge. It's things that, again, this is fascinating. I don't know what might.
I mean, I guess I've gotten like slight knowledge of the stock markets. So anyone that would say the 10-year-old would probably be a financial advisor. They'd go back to being 10 and go, fuck yeah.
Well, I mean, like, forgive me, I don't know her name, but that girl who did that speech at like the UN conference on climate change. Yeah.
Greta Thunberg?
Do you think she'd take the 45?
Yeah. Nah. She's a beautiful soul that's changing the world.
Who is who's your dream friend? As in like who? Yeah, like who like exists. Do you want to be friends with most in the world?
Oh, that's such a cute question. Like that I'm not already
that's
friends
a cute
with.
Response, but yeah, no, we were. I'm talking like your wildest dreams. Who do you think you would click with the most?
Friend. Oh wow, probably Russell Brand.
Cool.
I love a lot of what he's got to say. He's got so much charisma and just he's so deep.
Yeah.
Like it's like a never-ending pool of interesting conversation. And again, as a Gemini, like we're so intellectually stimulated, we need to be. He blows my mind every time I listen to him. Just like fuck, what? I mean, he makes me feel like a dumbass a lot of the time because I don't completely comprehend everything he's saying. But for what I do comprehend, it's very exciting to me. But yeah, Hayley Carr is the other one that sprang to mind. But I mean, we've actually been talking, and she's becoming a friend. But she's like a life coach, motivational speaker type of woman, and she has a podcast, and I just find her so incredibly, her take on things, so interesting. I don't know if I'm allowed to call her my friend yet, though, but if she isn't, then I would say Hayley Carr.
This, on a side note to this, the woman in your film clip in the TV.
Yes.
Tell
Angel
me about
Phoenix.
her. Like I've only, because another small world friend, like mutual, I'm not sure, Tessa. Yeah, my boss's daughter.
I love Tessa. Yeah, they work together at the ESPY. Your what?
The boss's daughter, her cafe. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've between like doing my research and following you for a while, and then also Tessa. I've seen this connection with you guys. Can you tell me about her?
There is. Yeah, very much. Okay, I'm going to tell you about the connection. So I met Tessa and Ange at the ESPY when my narcissistic ex was a security guy there. And then we sort of fell away from each other. They've stayed best friends and I did my own thing. But I think we always wanted to keep in contact with each other. But anyway, years late, like this year, like having my separation, and it's almost been 10 years since we all met, Tessa messaged me out of the blue saying, "What's your email address?" And I was like, I told her, and I was like, I wonder what that's about. It's interesting. Maybe it's the boss's daughter promotion thing. I don't know. I got in my email a super abundant package worth thousands of dollars gifted to me from Tessa for Hayley Carr's Super Abundant seminar, which was like a webinar thing. It's like a series of 6 sessions that you get to sit with Hayley, and she talks you through how to think about superabundance and money on an energetic platform, and that money is energy. And I know that Tess and Ange are still best friends. So then, and the day that I got that text from Tess, I'd been manifesting how much money I wanted to make that year and the people that I wanted in my life. And it was the weirdest. It's not weird because when you start manifesting, it's like, of course this happened. But I feel like I'd somehow manifested Tess to do that for me, which was just the most incredible gift in the world and absolutely life-changing. And then Ange had been checking in with me, like just messaging me every now and then saying, hey, going baby girl, like I hope you're okay. And like she knew that, you know, I was going through this new transformative phase of my life. And I'd been watching Ange come up from a bar girl at the ESPY to like making herself into this powerhouse of a woman that, you know, she's transforming lives. She started in doula work and then she started doing life coaching. She got life coaching from Hayley Carr as well. So Hayley Carr, I think, helped Ange morph her way into becoming Angel Phoenix, which is just this badass bitch who she's a disruptor and she's such an exciting energy. She is very challenging in exciting ways like Russell Brand is. The things that she talks about on her social platform are confronting but in a really good, healthy way. And she makes you question society and she makes you question everything and yourself, and she challenges you to be better all the time. So I decided when I'd written my song that I was like, I want to be lying in bed and I want the TV to like magically switch on like in a sort of super... what's that word? Super, like, you know, it's very X-Files kind of thing.
Paranormal sort of.
Can't think of the word. But yeah, that kind of vibe, paranormally vibe. And I wanted a motivational speaker to be speaking and I needed it to be Angel. I just like had a vision that it should be her talking. So I said to her, I was like, would you want to be in my film clip? And she was like, oh my God, I'd love that. And then while I was on The Voice, she actually offered to work with me or for me in a sort of pro bono sense. She was like, I want to help you get to where you want to go. I think I've got some really good ideas for you. So her and I are in like sort of communication and cahoots at the moment. She's helping me kind of in a business coachy kind of way, do some really great things. So I'm really excited by Tessa is like, she changed my life with gifting me that like really just, it was such a grand gesture and such a generous thing to do for someone. Hayley Carr is the most grounding, calming, just everything's like she approaches everything from, is that sustainable? Is the energy that you're going at sustainable? And are you living your truth? And then Angel's just this like crazy, like inspiring, exciting, she just motivates me. And it's just like I've just manifested these 3 amazing, powerful women into my life since being solo, being a single woman again, and kind of finding out who I am and what's my voice and what do I want in the world and where do I fit in the world? You know, like I don't think I'm just a singer. I'm not just a recording artist. I'm not just a touring artist. I'm also a vocal coach that, you know, is almost coming from a holistic and spiritual point of view, where I love to kind of help people find out their inner truth and bring that out in my own way. So I'm definitely still on a path discovering what it is I'm good at and what I should be doing with the skills that I have and the abilities. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely, man.
About Angel?
You've got a beautiful way of explaining things, which is I'm not media trained. I've got no idea what the fuck I'm doing. But like I've asked the question and you'll give me your response. And then I'm sitting here and I'm going, oh, that gives me another question. And then you answer it and I'm like, fuck. And then like, so yes, 100%. Absolutely. Another thing, when I was like doing what I consider research,
what you consider research is hilarious. Stalking?
No, so I threw you into Google. Do you know about the website? Celeb Pie? Celeb Pie? No. I don't know what this website is. I didn't even go into it, but essentially, this probably even goes back to like spoiler alert. There's no juice to this. So what I sort of gathered from this website, that essentially it's like it's celebrity like news, but the questions, like it had like 10 points about Stella. And like, it was like, it had nothing, but it was just like, she has not currently discussed what her weight or her height is on public thing. So like, we don't know. And then the other one was like we do not know what her net worth is. And then the other one was like, which like fascinated me, because it was, she may not have a boyfriend. And like, from what I know about you is that you are married. You've mentioned at the start of the podcast that you are separated, which is news to me. But I mean,
yeah, right.
Like, it just like fucking fascinates me that this site exists, but also too that they've managed to write down that we don't know anything about her, and then what we do know about her, is not up to date and or wrong.
And we're not sure if even that's right. Yeah, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
It was on the set.
Why didn't they just write 10 points that everyone knows?
Like,
you know what I mean? Like, Stella has
Google
black hair.
And it's on like page 2. So it's not hard to like you've just got to go to page 2 to find that bullshit.
Oh, that's hilarious. I wonder who did that. And why they didn't put more effort in. Like, contact me, ask me how much I weigh and what my height is, and then you'll have your answer. You know what I mean?
Thursday after, like, at 9:04.
Which I'm just going to quickly clarify. I'm 5'6", and I usually weigh around 50 kilos.
It's the perfect.
As a general rule.
Perfect.
Yeah. I don't have a boyfriend. My bra size is double D, and I have a size 8 waist, sometimes 6, depending on the brand. I have implants. My breasts are fake. There you go. So much about me. Yeah. Boom. Don't regret it.
I mean, like, I don't have any questions on your separation. Do you want to unpack that at all?
Not really. I think I unpacked it enough on The Voice, and to a certain extent I did that as therapy for me, but I really did it in a way that was probably sounded like I was media trained, and it's news to me because I think I'm a waffler and I ramble and I don't answer questions concisely, and it's something I've often beat myself up about. But my main concern going on the show was I need to protect my husband's privacy. He's a very private person. He's a Capricorn, so they don't like to air out their dirty laundry. You know, they're perfectionists, and they like to represent themselves. They don't like being spoken for, so I don't want to do that for him. And we've got very, I'm sure, different sides of the coin that we would speak about. I mean, we agree on some things as to why we're not together, but we see it from different sides. So, you know, it's a hard thing to go through. It's something I didn't want to go through. I'm still very much in love with him, and I can't see myself moving on to anyone else. It's just like, if it's him, it's no one, is how I feel about that. But, you know, I had to not be in the relationship anymore because it was affecting me too much. Mentally and emotionally, and not because he was abusive in those ways. It's just his choices made me feel insignificant. So, and he didn't know how to not choose those things. Like he was just doing his life. He was doing him, you know what I mean? And that prevented me from doing me. So ultimately I had to choose myself over love, which was the hardest thing I have ever done because I'm such a romantic, and all I wanted to do was find my soulmate or my twin flame and settle down and have a kid. I'm such a maternal person and dreamt of a family and all those things, but it just wasn't meant to be, unfortunately. And it's a lesson in my life that I have to learn, that I can hopefully live a life filled with, you know, love and friendship and things that matter. And these dogs really help. And music's my baby that I wasn't able to grow in a true form of like an actual human in my womb. So instead I just birth songs and hope that I raise them right and that they go and do good in the world.
Thank you for sharing that. Have you sort of, like, being a performer and being a creative, have you found that your creative process or your creative aspirations have like taken or given to previous relationships?
Yeah, I felt like my sisters, both of them, have always said, if you weren't in relationships and weren't a serial relationshipper, since you're 17, you probably would have made something of yourself by now. Because when I'm in a relationship, I tend to give like every single thing that I have to offer to it. Like I live for that person, and like I don't leave much for myself. So if there's a choice between like going and snuggling my partner and watching a movie, or going into the studio and writing a song, I'll always choose the snuggling and watching a movie when I'm in a relationship. So this single time has really forced me to, I have chill time where I'm watching a show or a movie, definitely, but I get sick of doing it by myself because I'm not sharing it with someone. And I find writing to be such a personal thing. I like doing it in a room by myself. So which I used to write with my husband, and he was the only person that I liked to write songs with that was in the room at the same time as me. We bounced off each other really well and had often very similar lyrical content ideas before we'd even talked to each other about it, which was very cool. But I think this has all happened for a reason. I'm writing songs more frequently than I ever have, and I'm able to it's like I'm not leaving my husband at home. There's no one at home apart from my dog. So if I booked a gig or booked a tour, it wouldn't feel like I was leaving my family at home or leaving my life at home, because my life is in me now. It's just like I do struggle to leave the dogs. I really struggled on The Voice being away for 5 weeks without them. But, I mean, there's not much you can do about that, unfortunately. I think hopefully if I tour, there's a way that I can maybe bring them, or like I can just kind of do short stints. I'm not sure how I'm going to navigate that, but yeah, definitely relationships for me have very much, in a sense, and they've taken my time and energy a lot and my focus, but they've given me so much inspiration to write songs or to know what love is. So when I write a song about love or losing love, you can tell it's from experience.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean,
it's not all bad.
I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I mean, like, you have, like, from this conversation, a like very empowering and like growing aura. I don't know how else to say that. I guess like.
Can you not believe you're about to say that because that's a spiritual thing to come out of your mouth?
Said the word aura and meant it.
Oh, that's so sweet of you. I feel very honoured.
You're clearly in the journey of making some pretty important, life-changing shifts, but you've got a glow.
Cool. It could be. I mean, I'm using one of those ring light things on me because I'm trying to be professional these days.
Ring light.
That could be part of it, but
yeah.
Hashtag shout out to the ring light.
I'm just going to have this ring
that
light,
should be another hashtag.
Like hot dog on a stick things. Oh, she looks like she's
that is genius. Shit. She's glowing. She must be pregnant.
Fuck. Yeah.
That's just her aura, babe. That's her aura. Should I bring out my own personal ring light that's called the aura, and it's like a halo that sticks up like braces?
Fuck.
Beautiful. Yeah. Let's go into business together, babe. No. Yes, I do.
Perfect. Yeah,
I know a couple.
All right, final question, because I'm pretty sure we've spoken for an entire day. You're a record manager. You've got your own record label, your own independent record label, and you've got a venue at South by Southwest. You can have any band, anything you want in the world. What showcases your record label? As in, like, give me 5 bands that you would put on as like a showcase that is Stella's record label.
Wow, that's interesting.
Doesn't matter.
So they're artists that already exist. I'm allowed to do that. Okay.
Have like a fucking self-help person as the headliner. Like, doesn't matter. Could be Jimi Hendrix. Yep. Turns out he's fine. He's playing. He's there. He's with me. Got a 5 album deal.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's exciting. I think it would be like something along the lines of The Cure with Robin, with early 2000s Sia, with Tool, and with probably Soundgarden.
Cool. Yeah, totally.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. It's like there's so many songs and energies. I love heartbreak pop. I love Robin for that. I love Sia for that. I love Tool and Soundgarden for super obvious reasons. Anything that makes me feel empowered, like Alice in Chains, actually, if I could throw them in there. Just anything that's got this like ballsy energy that, like, Man in a Box, Alice in Chains was like the song that got me through an entire year once. I just, anytime I felt sad or like or misunderstood, I just put that song on, blasted in my headphones. But same with Down on the Upside, or like, yeah, there's certain songs. There's so many energies from Soundgarden and Tool that have like built my life and the core of who I am. And then The Cure, like or anything that's got like that super unapologetic 80s, but with a real creepy vibe. I just love 80s creepy vibes, which is what I feel like I'm sort of starting to recreate in a musical sense now. So I'd headline it with my like Disco Dreams track that's out, or like the new one that I'm going to go record this afternoon, which is going to be called Damaged Goods, which is very fitting.
What do you know about it?
Oh God, I'm the queen of it.
All right, I think that's all of my questions. I feel like we could go another couple of hours and just keep going at it. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Easy. I wish I wasn't hungover. I'm sorry you're getting like a shit version of me. I had white wine last night, which I never do.
Never.
But I did.
Never apologize.
And I just feel like
we just had that. It was fantastic. I thank you for giving me that much time and actually like getting into it. This has been the first one where I've actually got to dive in deep. Bang. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm here for, baby. Anytime you ever need another conversation, I'm up for it. I love it. That's my jam. It's my favourite thing in the world.
Where can people find you? Do some plugging.
We're in the process of building a website at the moment with Angel, so hopefully that all goes through as planned because it's up in the air at the moment. But I have been finding that most of my people are finding me on Instagram, so I'm gravitating towards Instagram a lot more with my time, which is just Stella Perry. Facebook, I'm on there as Stella Perry as well. I don't get in contact with people as much via that platform. But yeah, I've got an email that's stellagray666@gmail.com. So if you want to shoot me an email, I actually think I need to get a new email that's just Stella Perry. I actually made a business email this morning called stellaperry7@gmail.com, but it's like too many Gmails. Like I need to simplify my life. There's too many ways that people can contact me, and it's starting to really confuse me and hurt my head. So I'm spending way too much time on my phone. But yeah, you can find me under Stella Perry on Spotify and on iTunes. And I'm going to hopefully, I want to start doing like this kind of podcast energy, but in like Instagram, going live with people. So like interviewing Johnny Manuel, or interviewing Chris Sebastian, or interviewing Caleb Jargo Ward, which I was on his podcast recently and that was heaps of fun. So yeah, I definitely think I'm enjoying that part of my personality where I like to ask the questions too and get to know people, because I'm like you in that I like asking questions that you've asked me shit today that I'm like, what? I love this. I've never been asked that before. It keeps me really present and in the moment. It's nice. Yeah, you're doing a fucking great job.
Do you have you don't have
that was fist bumping
like that? You're going in dry?
I'm self-managed. Yeah, self-everything. Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, why give someone 20% or 15 or 10% of anything that I can do myself, essentially? Like if I need to hire someone to have a hard conversation that I don't want to have about, maybe we're talking about a gig and I want a certain amount and they're trying to push back on that amount, then I might hire someone and go, hey, put 10% on, but this is the fee I want. Can you go back and forth with this person because I can't be bothered with it? I don't enjoy that energy or that conversation, and I find it just drains me creatively and emotionally. So rather than pay someone to manage my whole career or life, I'm more than happy to just flick people jobs and give them a commission on top of my fee. So that's the plan so far. I've got an amazing entourage in regards to the guy that did my creative direction on the film clip for my baby Burns. He's been such a help in so many other ways. And then I've got Sunshine, who, she's got her record label, so I can release songs and it can get on Spotify through that avenue. And I've got my writing partner, Zach. So I say I do things myself, but I'd be nowhere without these people in my life. Angel Phoenix as well, Haley Carr, all of these people are helping me find ways to do things without, the agent or the record label or the big deal manager, which it's really easy to think to yourself, I can't do anything unless I have all of those people. But it's yes, you can. I'm pretty sure Gaga did it. Someone was telling me this morning that they watched an interview on Gaga where she was doing everything herself for years before anyone gave her the time of day or realized that she was something. It was pretty much when she'd made something herself, people are like, hey, I want to sign you. And it's just where were you for years watching her do her thing, watching her grow and be someone that was obviously talented? So it's, sometimes I definitely, because I'm not represented, I'm like, is this where I should start questioning or doubting myself because someone hasn't picked me up or seen something in me that's marketable or worthy? But I think I just need to be grateful that means I get to be in control creatively. That means I get to keep the money that I make.
Most
and
managers
it's not going out to everyone else.
No, the creative side of their job is not the side of the job they want to do or they enjoy. It's generally if they're having to do those things, find you a producer for a film clip or find a creative direction. It's like asking someone who deals with numbers to help you decide on the color to put on the canvas. That's not a part of it.
Yeah.
Hopefully
so true.
Yeah, fuck, you work it out. Everyone does it. Everyone has their own way of doing it.
So true. Yeah, I feel like I'm on the right path as long as I keep being honest to myself and my brand. And I think my brand and my blueprint is just based on truth. So people, I think I did okay on The Voice is because I'm myself all the time, even when I'm an idiot or I fuck up and say the wrong thing. I'm a bit of a goofball. I'm not gorgeous. I'm not like a model. I'm not perfect in any way. So I think I'm relatable and I'm just going to keep being literally a person, a really honest person that says some dumb shit sometimes, but, trying the best I can.
So on your Instagram, you're also doing vocal coaching and stuff too. So people can sign up and get some one-on-one and some vocal coaching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, which I'm really excited about that because I'm offering something that's like a full sensory experience where I send you a little gift package and we both, in the gift package is tea and incense and oil and a candle. And so you can rub the oil on your temples, lavender oil is really beautiful to calm you beforehand. And there's certain teas that have really healing properties and anti-inflammatory properties like licorice that so we can both sort of have that same sensory experience while being in completely different rooms or completely different parts of the world, burn a candle and burn incense in the room so we all feel more connected. I really my whole thing is connectedness. So yeah, I think that's a really exciting offering that I'm really pumped to start sharing
more
with the world.
More than I thought I was because all this sounds amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you a little package and we don't even have to do a vocal lesson. I love
essential oils.
You'll love it.
I've got all the flavors.
Same.
In COVID, I've been smashing tea. I've just instead of big night out on the couch on a Zoom call, I'm sitting there just I've got all these brand new teas in and that sort of stuff. And
are you into peppermint? What's your favorite
stuff? I've got one. I can't even tell you what it is. It's like a peppermint elevate sort of cleansing sort of thing, and then this other one which is this
gorgeous.
One I'm trying
beautiful
today, which is good. I don't know anything about it. I'm just trying to drink lots of tea. I don't really do the hot tea, so I just
tea's so good.
Water in a corner hotel bottle that I'm not meant to take from the venue.
It's very classy. I'm really into it. And it's a good amount in there. It looks like a good litre worth, no fucking around.
Yeah, it's a good amount of tea.
It's north, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the chat today. I did not expect
Absolute
this
pleasure.
to be
Thanks for having
as
me.
rewarding as it has been. It's been a lovely chat. Thanks for listening to today's episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed the chat as much as I did. There are links in the About section to both Support Act and Beyond Blue if you do require any assistance with your mental health. I am excited to announce next week's guest is Tom Robb of Life is the Way. Tom is a motivational speaker who travels around Australia talking with kids, adults and students, and it's a really inspiring chat with an old friend of mine. Just another reminder to please like and subscribe to both the YouTube, Spotify and Facebook. That really helps me out. Thanks so much for listening, guys, and I'll see you again next week on My Normal Podcast.